Morning. This is the JP Dinnell podcast, episode 109. I am JP Dinnell, and as always, I have Lucas with me. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Got my Finding Nemo arm right here. So if you don't know what he's talking about, you got to go to YouTube so you can see what's going on. Uh, that arm still looks small, but yeah, I can't flex this one. I mean, I can flex it, but nothing happens.
Does it hurt?
Yeah,
Like, does it hurt when you try to
yeah.
flex it, or does it just hurt all the time?
It hurts all the time. Doesn't hurt more than when I try to flex it, but if I was to try to do that and rotate my wrist, bro, it is nasty. So, for those that don't know, I tore my bicep and ruptured it last night at Jiu-Jitsu. Was having good classes always at Double Five under Formiga and Victoria, and Trey was there as well, and our coach Jason, one of our black belts that coaches, and good technique. Drilled it a bunch of times, and it was a really cool sweep from when you have half guard and they're pressing in. How you kind of like bait them to let them press in. Anyways, awesome sweep with a little butterfly touch to it. That Formiga special,
Naturally.
and you know, then my first round was a really good hard round, but it was good. I think we've talked about it here on the podcast. If not, I know you and I have talked about it, how Formiga has me focusing on, being in bad positions, starting from the bottom, letting them like get side control or, be in half guard, like passing and, just working for the sweep, working out of subs. And so my first round was an awesome round, real tough guy. Him and I always have really good rounds, and I was feeling good about that round, and just things are starting to click again for jujitsu. Like I'm feeling really good, ever since been working with relive health and flower mound. My testosterone levels are back where they need to be. Just hormones getting all balanced out, and man, I've just been feeling good and eating clean, and you know, um, just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And, I felt really good. And then my second round, it was going really well. And I love training with this guy. He's a stud, and we always have really good rounds. He's very fast, very quick, very uh, dynamic, and very technical with his skills. And, so started from the bottom, working through some stuff, got out of a few submissions, a few arm bars that he had, I got out. One of the times Formiga was just like, you got to go for that. And he was like, I didn't have it. Formiga was like, you got to go for it. And I was like, yeah, break my arm. If you have it, break my arm. Like just kind of joking because that's not his personality. He would literally never do that. Even if he had it and he goes, okay, I know you should tap. That's just who he is. And so anyways, we're going through and it's we're kind of speeding things up, and he has an arm bar, and as he's going back, I'm like, oh, it's tight. He has it, like time to tap. And as he was falling back with it, I was going to sit. I was sitting up to try to like alleviate a little bit of the pressure off my shoulder as well, because I knew he had my arm dead to rights, no doubt about it. And literally, I'm getting ready. I'm telling myself, oh, it's time to tap, and I'm getting ready to say tap, tap, tap as I go to tap. And as he falls back, it's already hype, it's already fully extended and it's in tight. But I think as he fell back, he rotated with it a little bit on accident, just because as you fall back, you don't always go straight. And when he did that, as I was trying to come up, so the arm was fully extended and then rotated. And it's I'd never heard something like that. It wasn't like a snap or crack. It was a very weird sound, and I felt it obviously, and it felt like literally like my tendons or something were like being like rubbed over the bone. To be honest, the way it sounded and felt, I thought he dislocated my elbow, which I was like, awesome. Like that's fine. We can reset it. And then he heard it and felt it. Formiga saw it happen. Trey and Victoria were sitting right there. Trey, I think he heard it as well and saw it. And I mean, he stopped right away. And like I sit up and I go to, it's funny, like I pull my arm out and I go to like grab his leg to like keep going. And I'm like, oh, my arm doesn't like, this is not normal. Like something, something's wrong. And, for me, it came over right away. He's like, "You okay?" And I was like, feeling my elbow, and I'm like, I was like, and I'm moving it like I'm moving on the camera, which hurts, but it wasn't like obviously, I mean, full of adrenaline, rolling hard, sweating, like my body, like I felt the pain, but it wasn't painful yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like playing with my elbow, kind of bringing it out and forth. Like, that's weird. And then I felt like the bottom of my forearm close to my elbow, and I was like, that hurts. And then I reached like to feel my bicep, and as I put my thumb there, I couldn't feel the head of my bicep. It was like I was able to push all the way in there, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. And I looked up at Formiga and I said, I think I tore my bicep. And he feels my arm and he goes, yes, I think so too. He goes, let's. And so I take my belt off and try and get my gi top off. And so he helps, he pulls it off my left arm first, and we pull it out. And I'm looking, as I look down, like I'll try to show you on the camera, as I'm looking down, like I turn it like that, and as you can see, like that's not there anymore. It's missing. And so I look down and
Dang.
I see that, and I was just like, oh, like yeah, I think that's torn. And then the pain started like get a little bit more, and I'm like feeling in there, and I felt like the torn part of it, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's not right. And Formiga was like, yeah, man. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. Well, Aiden knew that I got hurt. So he stops his round. He comes over and he's like looking at it and he goes, what's wrong? And I was like, I think it's torn. And he like looks over and looks down at that. He goes, oh, yeah, it's torn. And I was like, thanks, bud. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, it's not a big deal. I was like, thank you. Go back to rolling, bud. So he goes back, finishes round, and I'm been sitting there. And this other guy, like I said, he's just a good human, good training partner, doesn't hurt people. I should have tapped a second earlier. You know what I mean? Had I tapped a second earlier, wouldn't have been an issue. But that's also part of jujitsu. It's also part of life. Like I have people that I know that literally just had the same thing happen to them, moving furniture, or I know somebody that did that doing a rope climb, or somebody was doing like just pull-ups, just straight pull-ups, like and it's just Amanda did some research and she found out that you are more prone to it if you're dehydrated. And
Mm.
yesterday we were smoked coming off the weekend. She was at Women's Pursuit. Um, we were up late when they got back, up early, busy day, a lot of stuff going on. And I didn't drink enough water yesterday. And I'm not saying that's the reason why it happened, but it contributes to it.
For sure.
And it's crazy. I mean, people tear their bicep doing like almost nothing. And so, you know, did it happen doing jujitsu? Yeah. But it can also happen doing a lot of other things. And so anyways, like I said, I love this guy. I don't want to say his name because I don't want people to like hate on him or like he did anything wrong. Like, I mean, it was me 100%. Like I didn't tap soon enough. And it's just part of life. If you're going to do things in life that are somewhat challenging, you might have some injuries once in a while. And I would rather run the risk of having injuries once in a while than live a soft life doing nothing challenging.
Yeah.
Like that's not the way I was designed. That's not the way God designs us to live these safe, gentle lives. Like, we're supposed to be out there doing hard things, being bold and adventurous. And I know you're the same way. I'm like that. Josh, Isaac, Steven, Oliver, Jesus, and Jiu-Jitsu guys, Kramer, all these guys, that's just how we all live our lives. And it's how I was in the SEAL teams. And so I don't want people listening to this to be like, oh, that's why I'm not going to train Jiu-Jitsu. I've gotten hurt more times outside of jiu-jitsu than I have in jiu-jitsu. So put that out there. So kind of sucks. Sat there. The guy sat next to me the whole time. Just like, bro, I'm so sorry. I'm like, hey, don't be sorry. I'm not mad at you. I'm not frustrated. You did nothing wrong. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, bro, like this was on me. Like if I would have tapped 1 second sooner, probably wouldn't have happened. So it's just, it is what it is. And, sat there for a while and stood up. And I was like, all right, cool. Stand up, walk around. Got super dizzy. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll sit down. And sit down. And it was just like, body was just adjusting to everything. And, I was talking with Trey for a while. And yeah, timing, not ideal, but the timing of how everything has come into play since then is just complete awesome. The work of God, just how quickly things have come to fruition. But yeah, so torn and ruptured bicep, good times.
Yeah, not to obviously they're not apples to apples comparisons, but it reminds me kind of my my ACL rupture. Like that is much different than having a muscle that is torn. So that's why I say it's not an apples to apples comparison by any stretch of the imagination. Um, but there's a weird sound, and we had a lot of like loud music playing whenever it happened to me. So the guy that I was training with didn't hear it. He just saw me go down. How would you describe the sound that you heard in your head?
So I'd like to talk to the guy and ask him and Trey, because I think Trey heard it as well. Um, I mean, okay. You ever like gotten a rotisserie chicken
Mm-hmm.
and you're pulling apart, like pulling that leg apart and it pops out,
Yep.
but you can also hear the cartilage and the tissue and the skin tearing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like a normal tearing sound. It's
It's like a
like,
shredding.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was like that, man.
Yeah, I think
I was
the
trying to describe it to the doctor today, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm articulating this properly. And he goes, no, you are.
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. Yeah, so with ligaments and stuff, and I've talked to a few other guys that have had injuries similar to mine. It was almost um like the sound of when a rubber band pops, but at the volume level of like a shotgun blast. Like as far as the way that it happened inside the body, because as soon as it happened in my knee, like it rattled my teeth. And I was wearing one of those new age,
Mhm.
like lifting mouthpieces, and I just remember like I felt it in my jaw whenever that went, and I was looking around afterwards, and I was like, somebody else had to have heard that, but you
When
know,
I
yeah,
tore my
it's wild.
hamstring 2 years. I tore my hamstring 2 years ago doing sprints
Hmm.
on a treadmill, and the guys in the gym next to me, they heard it when it
When it tore,
popped.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
weird.
yeah, so all right, so this is a much gnarlier sound than just the pop. So
Yeah, no, it was like deep sounding, like it had some like bass to it. Um, I don't know. It was the weirdest thing and feeling, and I literally felt like something was being dragged from the inside of my elbow over to the outside. Like
ugh,
just, I don't know. It was really weird, man.
that's gnarly, bro.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, like a rotisserie chicken when you're dislocating that joint and tearing it out.
no thanks, bruv. That's I'm out on on that if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
So when you realize that it's something's going on with your bicep, as you're realizing what's happening, do you think that, and this has been the experience that I've talked with a few people, because in strongman this is a pretty common injury. Like guys tear their biceps all the time, just because the nature of the different kinds of exercises or the different kinds
Yeah.
of events that you end up doing. So one of the things that a lot of those guys who have done that I've talked to have said is that like the pain sort of comes on as you realize what's happening. Almost like they could tell you like where it was going to hurt, judging by like what their point of realization was. So like, when they touched the bottom of their arm and realized that their bicep wasn't there, then the bottom of their bicep started to hurt. And as they started to feel up, it was like they felt like as soon as they were feeling an area, then the pain came. Like there was a realization of what happened, and the pain followed. Was that kind of your experience too, or was it just
Um,
sort of happening as?
I don't really remember. I just
Yeah.
remember that the pain hit me and I was feeling around, and then I was concerned that maybe because I know it had rotated when it fully extended, like maybe there's fractures in my forearm
Mm,
also,
yeah.
because like my forearm really ached,
Mm-hmm.
and um I wasn't sure. And yeah, I will say I was sitting down. So I love Trey and Victoria, not Victoria, Victoria is after my first round, they were talking to me about like, hey, you know, you should start competing, now that you're feeling good and healthy. And so I was like, cool. I was like, well, if you guys are telling me you want me to compete, I'll compete. Like that's the only way I'm going to do it. I'm not one of those guys that's like, let's go sign up for competitions all the time, because I told him I overthink this. I overthink about the fact that I represent Jocko and Leif and Echelon Front and Origin, and then also the fact that I represent Double Five and Formiga and Victoria and Brent and Jason and Trey and all of our black belts and all of my coaches. And so for me, going and competing without properly training, um, just for me, it doesn't sit right with me. And Victoria said, well, I understand why you feel that way. And she goes, if that's what you feel, that's fine. She goes, but nobody cares. Like if you're training as much as you can and you sign up and compete, it doesn't matter. Like whatever you're able to do, you're able to do. And I was like, okay. And just like the way she said it was just so matter of fact, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And so I was like, cool, let's find a competition soon. And I've been talking with my buddy B Vigs and Brent, and I know Josh and I were supposed to do Jiu-Jitsu World League at the beginning of the year, and then I had the concussion and some health stuff. And so I was like, cool, I'm definitely going to compete. But the way they phrased it, I was like, man, it'd be cool to like, I guess just see what happens and just start competing whenever I can and just be training as much as I can. And when I can't train jujitsu, just staying healthy and strong and running and get my cardio base up and explosive power like I've been working on. And then I sit down and, that happens after the second round. I looked over at Trey and he just laughs. He goes, well, Bubba, I don't think you're going to be doing a competition anytime soon. And Victoria just kind of was like, you could tell she felt bad. And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, probably going to be at least a month before I'm able to, I would say. Like we're just kind of like laughing about it. And, so we were joking about that. And then, I was just kind of walking around trying to just clear my mind a little bit. And, I took a little video of me sitting there at the gym with the bicep and then some pictures and sent it to Aaron Archer and Amanda. Um, and a few other people. I'm like, yep, I think I tore my bicep tonight at jiu-jitsu. And Amanda immediately calls. And so she calls and asks me all these questions. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And and obviously I know she's concerned. And I said, hey, honey, I know as much as you do. I just know it hurts. And it's not my arm's not where it should be. My muscles aren't where it should be. And she's like, all right, well, I was like, yeah, once we get done with class, I'll head home. And so, because I drove there with Aiden,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're getting close to getting done with class, and so I put my gi top back on, and Trey like ties my belt around my waist, and for me goes like, "Oh, this is so cute. I want a picture of this." And so he like ties my belt around me, like when you do like a belt promotion,
Uh-huh.
and yeah. So I lined up with the class and bowed out, and as everyone's walking by to shake hands, I had my arm tucked to my belt, and I was just had my left hand across, like, cool, like do it that way. And
Right.
not a lot of people knew. And then some people afterwards asked, like, what happened? And I was just like, and I took my top off and I showed them, and they're like, oh. Now, one of the guys from our gym, Boyd, who we've talked about getting him on the podcast, awesome veteran stud. Um, anyways, same thing happened to him, but his was up at the top
Mm.
and his was really bad.
Yeah.
But also, it was also because of his rotator cuff was torn as well,
Yep.
and so he had to get like all that stuff done. So, I mean, yeah, it's not ideal. Sucks. Like that's definitely not like there's something missing right there. It's but the cool thing that we're talking about is just like the timing of all this stuff. And so I text my buddy Dr. Luke, that
No
Jocko
relation.
talks about. He's a black belt under Jocko. He's a top. I think he's the number one orthopedic hand surgeon in the
Okay.
nation.
Rad.
And also comes to immersion camp. And so when I broke my finger before, I sent him a picture, and when I reset it and got it fixed, he was like, "Hey, you did a good job." And then when he saw me at camp, he was looking at it. He goes, "Man, you did a really good job taping this." Or he's like, "You did a really good job resetting it right away and taping it." He goes, I mean, yeah, they can put pins in there. He goes, but I would just keep it taped and avoid some stuff, and you'll be fine." And I'm still able to like grip and do all my stuff. And so I text him some pictures and videos, and he goes, "Yeah, that's torn." He's like, "Where do you live again?" And I told him. He goes, "All right." He goes, "Are you closer to Fort Worth or Dallas?" He goes, "I have some colleagues out there that I want to reach out to." And I said, honestly, like, 35 minutes from Fort Worth, 50-ish from Dallas, depending on where you're at. I'm like, but if you're telling me someone's the best, like the drive time's fine. Like I
Yeah.
don't care between the two. And so all of a sudden, then he gets back to me and he's like, "Hey, um, they're going to be calling you tomorrow, or do you want them to?" I told him I had a speaking event that I had today. And he goes, "Well, I'll have him call Amanda." And he's like, "Hey, can you give me your info?" So I text my info, text him Amanda's info, and he reached out. And then when I was literally uh, going to my keynote this morning up in McKinney, Texas area, Amanda was getting phone calls from that doctor's office, and she's like, "What time do you get done today?" And I'm like, "Around 11:30, but debrief with the client afterwards. Talk, so I'll be out of there by 12." She goes, "They can get you in today at 3:15." I was like, "Whoa, okay." So I got done, went back, picked up Amanda, ate a little food, knocked out some stuff at the house, and then we headed out to the doctor's office in Frisco, and was able to get us in. And because he got us in early enough, when he was doing his test on me, which is crazy, is like, because if I have my palms up like this, I can do a bicep curl, Lucas, and it doesn't hurt.
Huh.
Like it hurts if I fully extend it,
Right.
but like the act of like lifting up, I can push resistance. Well, look, like that's fine. But he goes, "All right, Tess." He goes, "I thought you'd be strong with that one still." He goes, "Shake my hand." I'm like, "Okay." But just me going like this with my hand down in my lap and turning it out to shake his hand, I was like, "Ooh," it caught. He goes, "That's what I thought." He goes, "Now shake my hand." He's like, "Grip it." He goes, "No, now try to turn it." And I was like, "Okay." I couldn't. He goes, "Try to keep me from turning it." And I was like, "Ooh, freaking hurts so bad." He goes, "Yep, that's what I thought. Ruptured, torn, detached, all that stuff. We got to check it out." And so he's explaining to me why some people don't get the surgery. And he goes, "You don't have to get the surgery." He goes, "This bicep's going to curl up." He goes, "From where your head of the bicep is on this other joint." He goes, "On your right one, look at the difference. It's 3 fingers lengths."
Yeah.
And so he goes, "So it'll always be like that." He goes, "But you can heal on rehab, peptides." He didn't say peptides. I know peptides, but he said rehab and all those things. But you will only have this much of your strength when it comes to turning and rotating and doing those things. And I was just like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, that's for me. I no can't be doing that. Like
Yeah.
I
Not worth
need
it.
the ability to go like that without pain and be able to regain my strength again." He goes, "Okay." So we were like talking through stuff, and he goes, "For that," he goes, we are going to need to get an MRI, but you know, before surgery." And he goes, "So I kind of wanted to see you earlier in the day just in case." And I'm like, and I was like, "Do you have an option for surgery tomorrow?" And he just kind of chuckled, and he goes, "Yeah, I did just have an opening, or next Friday." And I laughed, and I was like, I told my wife when we were driving here, I told Amanda, "I'm either going to have surgery tomorrow or Friday the 31st on Halloween." I was thinking about it, I had this feeling of just like, how awesome would that timing be? Got a lot of stuff going on. And if I was able to get surgery tomorrow, I have enough downtime before next week, which, based off what the research I'd done on the surgery and what people had told me, I'd have enough downtime before I needed to go do like travel and speak. And then I'd have some downtime and then a big FTX week, which is a really big week and would be rough to be close to surgery, post surgery with that one. Doable, but just not ideal. And he said that, he's like, "Well, the reason why I want you to get an MRI is because I'm like 90% that I know exactly what's going on the inside. He goes, there's a 10% that it could be the really, really, really bad tear that I almost never see where things happen. He's explaining like the different tissue and why it hurts down here and how it's all connected and how why also that ripped off of like the inside tissue on the skin. And so he goes, the thing is like if that's the surgery I have to do, like I'm gonna need to have like some skin grafts from cadavers and stuff on standby, and it's gonna be a bigger type of thing, and I need to have things on standby and ready so that it's not that long of a surgery. He goes, but if you go get an MRI, we know exactly what we're dealing with, and then boom, like go in surgery. He's explaining like it's like two little incisions of what he does, and I mean, it was cool. Like in the last 6 months, he's done 30 of these surgeries.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, he is, and he goes, "This is why I do it this way, and this is why I do it this way." And he goes, "You, you won't have an issue with this again. Like when it's healed, you're good." I was like, "Okay." He goes, "The issue we'll have is your left arm because your right arm is going to be way stronger than your left when you come back from rehab." And I was like, "Okay." So in my mind, I'm like, well, while I'm doing rehab with my right, I'm going to be doing it for my left also. But I just wonder if that's just, I don't know. It was very unique. I didn't get to ask him why that is, but I'll talk to him about that. But awesome doctor. Shout out to Dr. Luke, who just made this happen. Incredible. I mean, had a keynote this morning in McKinney, and before I'm going there, I'm texting with Amanda, and she's sending me links, and I'm filling out information. Then I get done speaking, and fill out more information. And, so it happened last night, appointment today, MRI today, and surgery is happening tomorrow when I get done with my half day workshop tomorrow. So I have a local half day workshop in Frisco, and the location of that workshop is 8 minutes away from where I'm having surgery. So I get done speaking at 11:30, do my little quick debrief, and drive straight over there, be there by noon, 12:30 at the latest, they said, and I'll be going in for surgery at 1 p.m.
Brad, man. That's awesome how
So when
quick they
this
can get
comes
that
out,
done.
I'll be, 2.5 days post surgery, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. In recovery.
Doing curls for the girls. Oh
Nice.
wait, no. I'm gonna be in as he said, it's an immovable cast like arm brace for 2 weeks, I believe.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
And then we can start using range of motion, get a little rehab, and then I believe he said, I'll ask again on our next episode when I'm in the arm cast. Um, when we record, I'll have some more information on timeline. But I believe he said in 6 months, if I do rehab properly, which I'm good at sticking to rehab. Like if
Yeah.
you tell me what to do for rehab, like I do it to the T. Like it's my, you know what I mean? Like uh, I don't know why people don't do that, but it's fine. I mean, ego gets involved, or you just feel like sometimes you actually feel good. You're like, hey, no, I'm good. Like, hey, they said 6 weeks. I told you I'd be done in 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, no, you feel good at 4 weeks, and you want to maintain for another two to properly heal. But anyways, I know people don't intentionally do that. I think subconsciously people think they're better sooner than they are. And I also understand I'm 42, a little bit of wear and tear over the years, and so I'm excited. Like do this rehab, take it very serious, get extra dialed in, obviously with my diet, with first in nutrition and just the workouts that I can do. And yeah, so I think at 6 months, man, he said I could be back to heavy lifting and full jujitsu.
That's what I'm talking about. It's going to be a fun 6 months.
Yeah, so we'll see, how the recovery comes along. I'm looking forward to it. This is, he's one of the number one orthopedic surgeons in this area, and I think in the nation as well. I mean, I'm just very lucky for that connection, the timing for it all working out, and you know, a few people kind of like reached out to me. Or, they saw the post that I put, because I just was asking for a little bit of, feedback if anybody had dealt with it, just kind of what their thoughts were, advice, recovery, all that stuff. A lot of comment about peptides, and as we talked about, I'm all about peptides. I've been on peptides, get them from Relive Health and Flower Mound, and definitely help. Like I took a healthy dose last night. I'm gonna take a healthy dose tonight, and then you know when I get home tomorrow after surgery, boom, keep taking my peptides um, and just stay on whatever regimen they have me for rehab and therapy. But a lot of people were also reaching out like, "Hey, man, you good? Everything all right? It's a bummer. I'm sorry, blah blah blah." And one, I appreciate obviously all the friends of that I have with people like showing genuine concern, but I was just thinking about it. I was like, one, it's like, man, this is not a big deal. Like, it's a torn bicep. This is not a big deal. Um, and the other thing is, I didn't know anything yet. Like I had
Yeah.
not talked to a doctor. I hadn't been there. So it's like, why am I going to freak out about something that I have zero like confirmation on? We have some ideas. We have some some assumptions based off of just function and feel and appearance, but and obviously I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know at what extent. And so my big thing was, hey, I don't know, so I'm not gonna freak out. I'm not gonna get upset or frustrated. Like I don't know what's actually wrong until I get an MRI and a doctor reads the MRI. I don't know, and I don't know what it's gonna require. Might be surgery, might not. I might have options. I don't know how invasive the surgery is going to have to be. Like, I don't know any of these things. So I'm not worried about it. And, the reason why I share that is I think a lot of times, in my life previously, I would fall in the trap of, oh my gosh, what if? Okay. Well, what if nothing's really that bad? What if nothing actually happens? And just, it goes back to the whole like controlling your emotions and why detachment's a superpower and not, just jumping into a worst case scenario. I know I've been guilty of that before in the past. It's just a good reminder of like, hey, I don't know. I'll get some information.
Yeah.
Once I get information, I can then make some logical decisions and I can figure out what I'm going to do next. And I know we want to record about prioritize and execute in the near future, but that's prioritize and execute is understand, hey, what's happening in your life. And the only way you can do that is by like just stop, relax, look around, figure out what's going on, and then make a call. Decide what you're going to do based off the information that you have. And if you don't have good information, then maybe you shouldn't be making big decisions. Make a small iterative decision based off of the information you have. All right, cool. Hey, I'm looking down. The head of my biceps not connected. It's in a lot of pain. Um, cool. Based off of that, I should probably stop rolling. I shouldn't train another round. And I probably won't work out tonight or tomorrow like I had planned on. So I made small little changes, good decisions based off the information that I had. And it wasn't like I didn't need to like freak out and like call Jamie last night as I'm driving home from the gym, like, hey, tore my bicep, won't be able to give my 90-minute keynote tomorrow morning. You're gonna have to call the client because it's too late for us to get an instructor to cover down. Like, okay, cool. I'm gonna be in pain. There's gonna be there's gonna be some discomfort. We found a sling that we had at the house. I wore the sling this morning at the event to keep me from like speaking with my hands and doing things like I
Yeah.
normally do, and not picking up my backpack like I almost did, just out of habit. And so,
Oof.
you know, small little iterative decisions, not freaking out, detaching from your emotions. This is not rocket science, but and just me understanding this is not a big deal. I look at like my dad, all the surgeries that he had, like legitimate, real big surgeries, elbow replacement, hardware replacement, and then had to get his arm amputated. It's like, man, my little thing's cute. It's like a little tickle compared to
Yeah,
like
compared
that
to that.
pain that he's dealt with. So, and I just knew God's timing and all this was gonna be good. Maybe I wouldn't understand it, but at the end of the day, it's like, all right, cool. Like I don't, we're good. And then just the testament to that was, man, the appointment today, and then the surgery tomorrow, and man, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm pretty stoked for you. So you've answered some of my questions that I've got coming up, like what's the operation going to be like? We don't really know until we get in there. What does that recovery period look like? You're saying it's probably sometime around 6 months. Um, One of the things that we had talked about right after the injury happened is that you've got a window of time before that muscle starts to atrophy in such a way that there are portions of that muscle that will never come back,
Yes, and
right?
that was the other urgency from my buddy to get me into the doctor, and then the doctor getting me in today, and then wanting to do surgery because I kind of told him my schedule and what I do and how I make a living, and he goes, okay. And we weighed out both options, like, hey, tomorrow, or do we wait until the 31st? And it's like, hey, if I do it tomorrow, I'll be good to go by Monday for when I travel to Mexico.
Yeah.
And Tuesday, do a full day workshop in Mexico. Wednesday, fly from Mexico to Detroit. Keynote Thursday, home Thursday night. And then that next week is, I think I go to one city that following week.
Yeah.
Uh, but then the third week, I'm in Houston Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for an FTX. Come back to Texas, FTX on Thursday, and then things on Friday. So that's a really busy week. And I was talking to the doctor. He goes, "Yeah, you don't want that week to be your week two."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool, Roger that." Because I'm getting 5 solid days of rest before I fly.
Yeah, which will be good.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. So there is we've interviewed Isaac before, and we've talked a little bit about me working with Isaac's dad. Isaac's dad had a significant tear in his upper pectoral, and
Oh no.
so like it's curled up, but because he waited so long to go and see the doctor, like they told him, essentially there's nothing that we're going to be able to do that's going to help you recover anything that you've lost. Like the atrophy that your muscle has undergone. And this was just, I mean, within a few weeks afterwards that they were like, your muscle is atrophying. And he opted at that point to just say, forget it. And because he's an absolute animal, he's still able to, maintain a significant amount of strength. But it's one of those that like that portion of his muscle is gone forever. We had a guy in our church who was reaching up to get a box of like a shoe box for his wife off the top shelf of their dresser, and
Yeah.
or in his closet, and he reached up, pulled it, and that's exactly what happened. He tore the bicep from the bottom, and it just balled up in his shoulder. And he thought that like maybe something funky had happened. He didn't know about it. 6 months later, he goes to the doctor. His doctor's doing his reflexes in his arm. He's like, "Hey man, you got a torn bicep. When did that happen?" He's like, "It just did that. It didn't hurt. It did it, about 6 months ago. What do you think?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, there's nothing we can do for it anymore." So you're like, there's this window in which you have to get it done, or else you're not going to be able to recover from it, or at least recover your strength and those kind of things that you want to be able to have so that you can continue to do the things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah. And I believe what the doctor told me, and Amanda could confirm this. Oh, no, 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 just kidding. Um, when he's talking about like the supination part, right?
Hmm.
Supination and pronation,
Yeah.
he goes, if I don't get the surgery and it just recovers the way it is, he goes, you will only have 30% of your strength for that type of movement.
Yeah, that's
And
less than ideal for jujitsu.
I was like, no. Or just because the other thing is like, he's like, it's not that big of a deal, but if you're having like use a screwdriver, right? In like a
Yep.
few minutes, you'll be completely fatigued.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, that's okay. That's not ideal. I don't,
Yeah. Get me fixed, doc.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
when are we gonna have him on? Like, we gonna have him
I'll
on?
talk to him about it tomorrow. That'd be rad.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have him on post op. The the other big questions that I have for you.
Like I saying, like tomorrow after surgery.
Yeah. We
It's
get
like, hey,
get
dudes,
both of you on tomorrow, like immediately. I'll just bring the equipment up into the recovery room, and we can
could you
get you
imagine
coming like,
how
yeah,
cheese ball that would be? Like,
your
just
panicked face as soon as you wake up from anesthesia, and there's a nurse there telling you, hey, you're in a bed, you just had an operation done, don't worry about it. Yep.
that'd be so,
It's terrifying.
so cheesy.
Uh, I mean,
Okay.
it'd probably get a
I,
lot of views,
yeah. Well,
which that's what we're all about. We're all about the lulz. Uh,
yeah.
okay, so these next two questions that I have kind of go hand in hand, and I think that they're integral because this is something that you didn't know was going to happen ahead of time. You didn't predict your bicep tear. Now that you're in the midst of it, the things are happening pretty quickly. One of the things that you and Rob have talked a lot about is, and this is kind of Rob's big focus at EF, is owning your attitude.
Yeah.
And so before we get to the question of like what are you doing to own your attitude, what are some of the steps that you are taking right now to mentally prepare for what's ahead of you? Because you can't take ownership of anything at the moment because you're in this place of like, hey, you know, I mean, the only thing you can really take ownership of from what I'm seeing is getting yourself to the places you need to be and at the right times to get the operation done. But what are you doing to kind of prepare yourself mentally for what recovery is going to look like, to for what, you know, 6 months off is going to look like, those kinds of things?
I mean, nothing because I don't know what the recovery process is going to be until they assign it to me.
Right.
So again, I'm not making any preconceived ideas or notions of like, okay, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They're going to tell me what to do. I mean, he is the number one surgeon for this for a reason. So I'm going to let him do his job. And then whatever guidance he gives me, I'm going to follow that. And then, bounce some ideas off of Aaron Archer and, my buddy Justin and a few other buddies that are very intelligent when it comes to the human body and rehab and physical therapy. And I'm going to talk to my sister as well, and bounce it off my dad as well. Like, hey, man, you've had a bunch of surgeries, I just kind of just go off the advice of the expert and then, give it to a few people, kind of get what their ideas are, and I'm gonna stick to whatever plan he tells me to do. So in regards to like mentally preparing, like I don't there's nothing to mentally prepare for. Like, okay, I know I'm gonna be in pain because of surgery, you're and what the surgery entails. I know I'll be on painkillers post surgery. My goal is to get off painkillers as fast as possible with ice and, just peptides and, doing what I should do. Um, and then, I mean, there's nothing else for me to really think about and prepare, man.
Well, I think that's one of the key things though, is that you're by saying you're not doing anything to mentally prepare, like one of the things that you are doing is you're keeping your expectations appropriate. Like you're not
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
you're not going into it thinking that you're gonna have some kind of heroic 6 week instead of 6 month thing. You're
bro,
putting trust into the team that's there and doing that. And that's, I think, something that a lot of people, you know, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, a lot of people will sort of skim over because we try to do the heroic recovery instead of like saying, hey, you know what, the thing I'm going to be mentally prepared for is to not set expectations until we have more information, or, you know, to have appropriate expectations.
yeah. And I want to put a caveat in there because I know there's going to be some people like, well, doctors don't know what you're capable and blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I get that. But the doctors will also be able to make adjustments based off of my progress. One of my actually my first platoon OIC, he sent me a message because he saw the post, and he said, "Hey, make sure you let them know to treat you like a high level athlete, and that will expedite your rehab properly." And I was like, "All right," because he's like, "Hey, I had a surgery, and they had told me like I think it was like 6 or 7 months." And he's a physical stud, phenom, still is, to this day. And he said he was fully recovered, like fully recovered, not just I feel this way, but fully recovered, Lucas, in 4 months.
Oh, dang.
And so I know that, and I know of a lot of other buddies that have done that. And I've come back from surgery sooner than expected, but it's because I took my rehab very serious. And in the SEAL teams, they treat you like high level athletes, and they take that stuff very serious now. And so my expectations, my mental preparation, I guess, like you said, is go and detached, like no emotions, no expectations until I have information. Once I have information, we can make decisions and we get to work. And then also understand, like, hey, things, I'm just going to have to be able to adapt to things and evolve. And if PT's going well, cool. If it's not going as well, all right, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's figure out what's happening, make adjustments, and then just move forward. Like we were talking earlier, like incremental changes, and just all right, cool, boom, 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 one day at a time. Um, and just, I mean, dude, I mean, I'm not like stressed at all. Like I'm just so at peace with everything. It's
That's awesome,
one,
man.
it's not that big of an injury. I know it is, but it's not, compared to like what other people are dealing with. It sucks. Is it painful? Yeah. But does it suck as bad as other people? No. Is it as painful as other people? Absolutely, like not even close. So for me, I'm just like, all right, like this happened. I don't know why. I don't know if God will ever reveal why. Um, but I know one thing. When things like this happen, it's kind of an indicator like, hey, maybe you need to slow down a little bit, shift some focuses, maybe. I don't know what that is and what that means, but I'm going to be slowing down for a little bit.
Yeah, you're forced to.
Yeah.
So the last question I've got for you is, as you're doing this, when you recover from any kind of surgery, like you just alluded to, there are ups and downs to the recovery process. There's some days where you're going to make great progress, and other days where it feels like progress isn't coming.
Yeah.
And having the relationship that you do with Rob, and the idea of when there's nothing to take ownership of in a situation, that you can own your attitude.
Yeah.
What are the steps for owning your attitude and for keeping yourself at a place where you can continually make progress through the ups and downs of recovery, that we'll probably have some good days, some bad days, potentially some dark days. Like, what are the steps to owning your attitude through that whole thing so that you can stay level and on the path?
Well, my steps based off of what you just asked, and then obviously I know Rob Jones very well, good buddy, phenomenal instructor at Echelon Front, amazing speech that he gives at the muster. As I listen to Rob talk and share that story, and I think, and over the years I've just thought about these things, and then I reflect on like what you just said. It's like being grateful, understanding, like I said, like, hey, this is not a big deal. If you're looking at the camera and I'm flexing again, it's like, as Amanda calls it, my Finding Nemo arm. It's like, okay, like I don't, like it's not a big deal. So it's really easy to control my attitude and own my attitude because it's not that big of a deal. And I'm thankful that this is all it was. I'm thankful that I got into the doctors right away. I'm thankful that I'm having surgery tomorrow. And I'm thankful that I was able to be healthy and strong again when this happened because I'm going into surgery with an advantage. Like I have an advantage going into the surgery being healthy, my levels being good and high, and just like, bro, I'm good. Like I'm ready. Like let's do the surgery, let's get it done, and whatever else life brings, like whatever, cool. Like when it happens, that's going to happen, and you know, and I almost don't want to like bring up this Bible verse comparison because I just want to make it very clear, like this is not a big deal. Let me be very clear. So hopefully, if somebody is listening still, hear what I just said. This is not a big deal. But as a reminder for all of us, when things are happening in life, like read the book of James. Like we know things in life are going to be good, they're going to be bad, we're going to have trials and tribulations. Just go read the book of James. If you don't have a Bible, download the Bible app. It's free. If you don't have a Bible, you want a Bible, send me a message. I have some in my office. I'll mail them to you. I know Lucas does the same as well. But, or just, you know what? You don't have a Bible, you don't have the Bible app, you don't want to download the Bible app? Google
There you go.
Holy Bible, NLT version, the book of James. Just Google it and read it. Um, and so, again, I want to be very clear this is not a big deal. Rob Jones lost both of his legs. That's kind of a big deal. Um, you know, my dad lost his arm. Kind of a big deal. You know, Travis Mills lost four of his limbs. Kind of a big deal. My buddy Dan Liccardo lost his legs. Kind of a big deal. There's people dying of cancer right now. That's a big deal. There are children that are sick. That's a big deal, man. There are people that have lost their jobs, can't find work, are getting ready to, foreclose on their house and lose their house. That's a big deal. So I think about all those things a lot because of what I get to do at Echelon Front. Because I talk to people all over the world and I share stories and I get to hear stories. And man, I'm just so blessed to have the life that I have. And I'm thankful for what God gives me. My dad's having, a lot of continuous health issues with his leg that he had compartmental syndrome on. And, it still hasn't fully healed. And he's just got issues going on. And he's got a pretty dang good attitude about that, considering it. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah,
has his
man.
bad days, he has his good days, but he chooses to have good days when most people would just easily have a bad day. And so I am, just grateful for the opportunities that I have to go to this surgeon tomorrow. Are you serious? And that's because of a relationship that I have with a good human. And, again, Dr. Luke, thank you. I owe you big time. So that's all I got. If you want to quickly close us out, whatever you got, my man. I don't know what you got in that notebook.
It's full of notes like it's supposed to be.
Well,
I
yeah,
I learned from
nobody
my
carries around them.
podcasting. I learned from my podcasting partner how to take good notes. So, JP, thanks for sharing, and we appreciate all of you guys for watching, listening, subscribing, giving reviews. They really help us out a ton. And obviously, like our prayers are with JP and in his recovery, and we appreciate anybody who is partnering with us in that endeavor. To those ends, if you want to join the conversation, you want to shoot a little bit of encouragement over to Jeremiah during his recovery, you can do that at JP Dinnell. It's two N's and two L's, or at JP Podcast over on Instagram. You'll also notice on there we've got some little tidbits that we do with our friends over at First in Nutrition, which JP mentioned a couple of times. If you go to firstinnutrition.com/JPPod, you'll get 4 free weeks of nutrition coaching. So whether you are in recovery or just need to recover from a pretty nasty workout, go ahead and check those guys out. They can help you reach all of your nutrition goals. We've got a pretty exciting thing coming up on November 1st. Carlos Henrique is doing a free seminar in Plano, Texas, with Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu. It's going to be a no-gi seminar. He's the current lightweight UFC BJJ champion, doing a free seminar with the folks at Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu, which JP and I are a part of. So make sure that you go follow them at Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu_USA on Instagram to get all the details for that. For some self-care, go to littlecattle.co, get some of the beef tallow products. They've got the After Sun Care, they've got the invigorating coffee body scrub, and they've got the anti-itch cream, because if you're in Texas, you're like, hey, fall's coming up, but it's still 90 degrees, so the mosquitoes are out there. Make sure that you get that stuff for you and your kids. If you want to be a wholesaler for any of that, you can email amanda@littlecattle.co. If you want yourself or other people to rep the company that you work for or the gear that you want to see, go check out at On the Path Printing, where you can talk with JP, Josh, or any of the folks on their team to get custom printed apparel for you, for your company. Maybe you want to start your own clothing brand and want to experiment with some of that stuff, go check out at On the Path Printing. And if you want to do it the same way that the guys in Echelon Front, the guys that were on that SEAL team did it, go check out at Bruiser Arms. They're putting together gear packages, custom gear packages for anybody who wants to check that out, they got some custom training coming up as well, which is JP, Leif, and Jocko setting those things up. And finally, to wrap it all up, the people that keep us covered and recovering, it's the folks over at Origin and Jocko Fuel. Complete 100% American made stuff. I'm rocking the denim jacket because, you know, it dropped below 75 degrees today in Dallas, Texas, which
Yeah.
means there's a chance of snow as far as I'm concerned since it's below 75. So I'm rocking the jacket, which I absolutely love. Got to try it out the other day whenever I was out test driving the motorcycle, making sure that everything works, and it's a phenomenal riding jacket. So check that out. And if you go over to Jocko Fuel, you can check out some stuff to help you with your recovery with the new colostrum that they just put out, and you can save 20% on that by using code JPPOD20. It'll save you 20% on all of your order over at JockoFuel.com so that you can get the Discipline Goes, the ready to drink hydrates, and the Mulk protein shakes, which I'm sure you're going to have plenty of over the course of the next few months while you recover. JP, you got any final thoughts to get us out of here before your big operation?
Don't overreact. Assess what's actually happening. Collect a little bit of information. Think. Assess a little bit more. Make a small decision. Move forward, and just continue that cycle. Don't get sucked into your emotions. Detachment's a superpower. It's what we talk about for a reason. And just understand that things are going to be all right. So I appreciate you guys listening and all the support you guys give us. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. And that is a reminder to go do the work that's needed, to put in the effort, to build your legacy, and to never settle. This has been the JP Dinnell Podcast, episode 109.